Like I'm getting cool glimmers of Detroit history.
Yeah, 3.6 second lap.
Oh, really?
It was
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was stupid.
Wait,
fast.
with the big old motor?
And it was so serious. I've heard nights that people they'd break their car and they would just lose it.
Oh, they'd freak out.
Throw it back in their box, get in their car, and they would do monster burnouts down Main Street. First, yes, because the rest of us were technically cheaters because our bodies that we were.
I was
running,
not cheating. By the way, this is probably the prettiest Shinoda slot car anywhere. Look at this, none of that oh shit garbage. This is for kids that knew how to build something. They'd burn themselves and get over it. What's up, people? I am here at the Downriver Speedway and Hobby Shop, is that right?
Yes.
In Lincoln Park, Michigan, which is a suburb of the greater Detroit area. And this is my new friend, Elliot. What's up, man?
Well, I mean, we had a good day. We just had a really fun race.
That's true.
Didn't
That's
go
true.
my way, but I mean...
You did all right. You did all right.
Well, I mean, when you're leading and then
Yes.
an issue you've never seen before happens.
What happened to your car today? So
what
some
happened?
backstory, you guys. So I did a video on my slot car box here a while back ago. So Elliot has seen it, and you're a VinWiki fan too.
Oh yeah.
And you'd seen some other stuff in the slot car racer, and he's like, holy crap, this dude slot car races? So he was nice enough to reach out to me on Instagram. And here, a really big deal race is coming. It's a reunion. It's called the Shinoda Race.
Yes.
There's two classes, and this is Larry Shinoda we're talking about.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
The historic, designer in Detroit who did the Mako Shark concepts and cool stuff like
He
that.
did a number of cars. He was involved in the split window Corvette. He was
Yes.
actually the no, it's not X100. It's the concept car to the Mercury Turnpike Cruiser.
Yes.
Was one of the very first cars Larry ever worked on.
Yes, and how in connecting it to this, so the deal was on the side for fun, he would design slot car bodies.
Well, not just on the side. He was, from what I've heard, he was taking GM funds, corporate funds, and using them to take designs that he had that had gotten shut down, kicked out, and because they were too radical or whatever, couldn't be done for production or consistent
Okay,
use.
yeah.
And he said, basically, I'm not done using this, and turn them into slot car bodies.
That's so cool.
And on top of that, he was a huge slot car racer. Well,
Yeah.
He was a huge racer in general. I mean, he won NHRA events back in the 50s.
Right.
For that matter. So, I mean, racing flatheads. On
Now,
top.
what time period was Shinoda involved with slot car racing and doing this?
So, I would say it's right around 1964 to 1970. 70 is
So
for
right,
sure
the boom of slot car racing.
Yes, the boom and decline. You start getting around 1970 and tracks were starting to shut down because of all things, and we've looked at this in old magazines, it was because you could go to Walmart or wherever and you could buy the cars there. So people are buying the cars.
It hurt the hobby, the craftsmanship nature, the hand-build aspect.
Well, what hurt it was that instead of buying it at the tracks and supporting the tracks, you were now going to these major chains and paying
really?
pennies on
Like
the dollar
Sears
by
or
the-
something?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, like Sears back in the day. I gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so Joe, right?
Yes.
He owns this track. How long has this one been here? Do you know?
Just over a decade, I want to say.
That's pretty darn good. And, the thing I'm excited about being here is I really feel like I'm getting cool glimmers of Detroit history.
Yes. Well, on top of that, this building itself was a slot car track back in the 60s.
Oh, no way.
Yes, absolutely.
I got to tell you, when I came up here and saw all the hand-painted signs like slot car racing, $5, I'm like, this is awesome. This is old school.
Oh, it's a complete flashback, and he's
Totally
a huge vintage guy as well.
Tell you what, let's show them real quick the slot cars we
Yeah.
raced today, and then let's go into the Shinoda stuff. So, we raced, what was it, Champion chassis? JK chassis?
JK chassis, yes. It's
Show
a
them that.
stock
Show them what that
JK,
looks
so
like.
basically, it's your typical stamp pan aluminum chassis, and
Well, and these cars, this same chassis, right?
yeah, pretty much.
This is actually my wife's car. This is what we ran with Genius Garage a couple years ago. So when I showed up, I brought my cars, but I didn't know what you guys were running today.
Yeah.
I just brought them, to bring my toys along like
right.
a little kid.
You're at a slot car track. You're going to race.
Yeah, right? So I had my chassis, okay, and you guys might have remembered this body, I think, from my thumbnail. So I just took the body off, and I had a spare Lola T70 coupe, and threw that thing together in like 20 minutes, and did pretty well today in the, the retro coupe class?
Well, you got fourth overall today. And
Fourth
then,
overall and first in that class?
First, yes, because the rest of us were technically cheaters because our bodies that we were
I was
running
not cheating.
were
You guys
well,
are
the
hogging
back
out
was
for
cut out.
downforce.
So, yeah, and this is more of an after fact. This car itself, we had a 4-hour enduro
Oh, okay.
over the summer that was a tribute to Le Mans, and so it was all
Oh, I saw that.
1960s bodies. And this car was run there, and ever since then, every now and then I'll bring it out if there's a class running.
Yes.
It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's a deadly consistent car, and so...
I believe it. Well, I dig it. Well, and the other thing, too, is I never would have been able to finish that well, but if you guys notice my spoiler there, right before the race started, Elliot runs over, he's like, hey, man, I got to put a spoiler in that thing, it's going to work. So that really, I got hooked up.
Well, and you ran one heat without the spoiler.
Did I?
Yeah, the first heat, you came in on green, it didn't have the spoiler there, and... No, it was beginning of green.
Gave me right
it was beginning of green. There was a yellow flag. I went, grabbed the spoiler off of one of my Can-Am cars.
Just rips it off, throws it on my car. It was great. So that's really good. And I think I'm going to do something, shout out. If any of you young people out there are into slot cars, whether it's smaller, maybe 32nd scale, HO, you want a shot at this, maybe you're in the Michigan, Northern Ohio area, hit me up. We'd like to bring other young people out and we can connect you. This is a really cool place. A lot of nice people here, young, old, man, woman, kid, child, whatever.
Absolutely.
Everybody's cool. So these Shinoda cars, let's get into that. There's 2 classes. What's the deal with these?
So what makes Shinoda so important is that there was a brand in the 60s called Rusket.
Yes.
Well, they had a team that would go anywhere over the country, the best racers they could find, and they would whoop up on, your local town people and whatnot. It was basically like...
To sell cars, right?
Yeah. It was basically like if you went to a drag strip on a Wednesday night and you're bringing a professional super stock car and some guy in the lane has his stock.
And Rusket had all kinds of cool cars. They even did those crazy twin-engine four-wheel drive stuff. Yeah.
Which those things are huge money now.
Are they a lot of money right now?
Oh, they're huge.
I used to have them. Maybe I should have sold it.
Yeah, that's like a $300 chassis now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
On a good day. But what happened is, so they went everywhere. They come to Detroit, and there's this track in Royal Oak, which it was in downtown Royal Oak on Main Street.
Okay.
And it was called The Groove. And this is where...
I love the name.
Oh, great name. There was 15, 16 tracks at the time in this area.
Yes.
And all the locals would go when they'd run a circuit. So you would go one track on Monday, one track on Tuesday.
Oh, I see, okay.
And so they had a point series basically between all the tracks. But what happened that night is Rusket shows up, and all the Shinoda people, so I think Larry's there.
Okay.
From what I've heard, Larry's daughter actually raced a lot.
Oh, cool.
In fact, that exact car they're raced against.
This white one here.
Yes, that race.
Show that to them there.
Yeah. This is a real deal car. It's probably there.
Original one from the 60s.
Yes, that was probably there on the exact night. So this is
It's got the patina, the silicon coated, foam tires, the brass chassis.
It's got a few cracks to it too. But this car is exact.
But that's legit, yeah.
Yes, this is the real deal. And so what happened is, that night, Rusket shows up, they get destroyed by all the people. And mind you, they showed up in suits and ties, and they're walking in there.
The Rusket guys,
Yes. And all the designers are showing up. It wasn't this layer. There was a bunch of designers. There was a bunch of GM engineers, people all over the place. And the car community here.
Yes.
And it was so serious. I've heard nights that people they'd break their car and they would lose it.
Oh, they'd freak out.
Throw it back in their box, get in their car, and they would do monster burnouts down Main Street to show their frustration.
I believe it. I remember racing when I was a young person. There were some people that got a little too hot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this gets your blood pumping. Like,
yeah.
I'm tense. Okay, I've raced real cars, guys. Like, this will get you tense.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I genuinely find this way better than any simulator video game. Like, this is real racing.
Well, and it changes from day to day. Even the weather temperature. There are days when I've come in here and it's been rainy outside, and you can feel the glue in the track.
It's different.
Is completely different. There's days where you're coming to be a loose setup,
right?
Or it'll be really good. And so tire changes happen.
It's real racing.
In practice. Oh yeah.
So this back to the story. So the Rusket guys are showing up, suits and ties like the '60s, looking all good. Shinoda comes, maybe with his daughter or something. And
there's a bunch of other people with Shinoda body cars because the deal is, this body itself was bought directly from Larry
this Formula
at GM. Yes, that is a Shinoda GP is what that's called.
Yes.
So you could either buy it from certain shops, or you could buy it directly from Larry if you knew him.
Okay.
They show up and they got annihilated.
The Rusket guys.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're supposed to be the best in the country. Some of the best in the world,
Were they running like bigger, heavier cars that weren't up to the time?
Well, what they were doing is they weren't heavier. In fact, I've got an original Team Rusket car back at home.
You just weren't as sophisticated?
It wasn't so much that. It was more so that they were using production-based bodies. So they show up here, higher center of gravity. They show up here, well, there's two reasons. There's that, and there was a chassis unique to Detroit.
Oh, this is insane.
And this is what we call the Detroit Slider, which is
Look at that.
a wheelbase changing chassis. So it shrinks in the corners.
So
and
when
it
you,
links into
when you
straightaways.
accelerate, it gets small.
Yes.
So it like bites in and hooks, and it's short wheelbase coming out of the corners.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And when you're going around a donut, this is the best thing in the world.
Well, and when you're like braking and slowing down, it elongates for stability going in. Does
It
do
actually
that?
shrinks when it brakes. It lengthens when you accelerate.
It does?
Yeah,
May I see that?
yeah. That's the mentality behind it.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I thought it was the other way around.
Well,
Want
you
to
want
test
to-
this? Check this out, you guys. The Detroit slider. What a... That's so great.
Oh, it's
handmade.
wild.
By the way, this is probably the prettiest Shinoda slot car anywhere. This is actual gold leaf on the number 7. This is actually hand painted with a brush, lettering, old school, in the absolute best way possible. Here, watch the slide here, guys. Look at that. How cool is that?
And that's an extreme end of the slider. Most of them that are originals
Yeah?
don't slide that much, but there's been developments over the years, and that's where we've
Yeah.
come up with that. So,
So great. Hey, who's this A guy? Come here. Make a cameo.
Yeah, come over here.
Track owner. Oh, he's got customers. Okay.
I get customers, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a Formula Car style Shinoda, and this is a kind of in between.
It really is.
But do you have an example of a body that's more full bodied?
Well, this is actually one of the 2 last bodies that Larry ever did that became slot cars.
Okay, that's a very pretty body.
This is a 1970 Shinoda GP.
Can I show it to him?
Yeah. GT.
Look at this. I mean, that is like a door stop, and it's very pretty, very svelte. It's got hips. Look at that.
It does, and actually, it's a phenomenal King track body. Is what we've found out.
Is it for the
It
Blue
is.
King Special?
It
Nice
pretty
high-speed
much
guy?
is. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I think the fastest one last year in the unlimited class ran a 3.7 second lap, 3.6 second lap.
Oh, really?
It was
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was stupid.
Wait,
fast.
with the big old motor?
Well, in unlimited with.
Oh, unlimited.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, with a half-inch spoiler on the back.
Oh yeah, this thing articulates like crazy. Okay,
Yes.
that's awesome. So there, and how many body variations did Shinoda show and design?
There's about 30 so far. Yeah. That we've discovered. One of my ones that got me excited this year is I found
Yes.
out he was actually working on a streamlined dragster in the early 70s.
Oh, really?
And there is a
Well, this is another
few
one.
pictures of a quarter scale model. Yes. That is a Shinoda long bus.
Okay, this one's not painted yet, you guys. So you can see it's got a long tail.
Looks cool.
Real interesting there.
It's a bad body.
And the front wheels are sort of open,
Mustang.
but they're also protected.
Touch the wall.
And that's a real interesting chassis there too.
It is. Well, that's an original Shinoda chassis as
Oh,
well.
is it really?
Yes. Yes.
Oh wow.
And that car is just about as close to as period correct as you could get.
How'd you know it was an original Shinoda chassis?
So there was a slot car swap meet.
Okay.
Last year.
Yes.
And
Yeah, the GGs do that.
all of a sudden I hear there's a real Shinoda body over there. The guy brought a complete box.
Yes.
And in there were plaques from the groove. There was
No way.
an original Shinoda long bus body in there.
Yeah.
And well, this car was originally called Blackjack.
Oh wow.
And so the chassis.
Shinoda also?
What I did is I took pictures. Yes. Well, that one is a creation car.
Right.
But yeah, that one there. I took pictures of the body, and I noticed that there was a few chassis in the box as well. Well, that's the chassis that aligns with that body because you can see it's spot on the width.
Oh,
you look at
you're
it
right.
here. The width is an identifying factor,
Yeah.
and it really fits over the bus. And the actual original bus, which I can send you the pictures of it,
Yeah.
had the rear wheels were enclosed.
Okay.
So that was another identifying factor to it, but it was just everything matched for the time period.
Oh yeah. Okay, so here's another one. Now this chassis was giving you some heartaches because it was
Oh.
gold plated. Look at that.
What does it retail for?
Gold plating.
Why would
cool
they do
idea.
that?
Marketing.
Oh, is this the way?
This was a mass-produced chassis. This is not.
Oh.
Yeah, there were companies mass-producing brass and wire chassis, and you know some kid was probably overly excited on Christmas Eve.
Because it was gold.
Well, and this car has a cool history because it was found
Look at that.
less
That
than
is
a
cool.
block from here.
Really?
Yes, and the body that was on the car at the time was someone had taken the really expensive Cox Chaparral, the one
Oh, yeah.
that
RI Race.
The 2E highway one?
that you see on the ISO chassis that had the wing that
Isofocum
moved.
Hapril 2E
Yes.
with the high. Yeah.
Yes, with the wing.
Yeah.
Well, so, you know, I got offered it at a great price, and of course at that point I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
Actually, the motor from that chassis is in that car right now.
Oh, cool.
So it's been rebuilt and it's been gone through.
Timed out.
That
Yes.
is so cool. That's the fun thing about slide. This is a Shinoda body, yeah?
It is. It's a mongoose. That's a Shinoda mongoose. That my
I kind of
dad
like
painted.
that mongoose. Look at the lines on that. That is gorgeous.
And so my dad got an idea to paint it like a shoe. It's one of the fun of coming from an art family. Ironically, though,
neat.
he's an engineer.
Oh, really?
His day job is he's an engineer.
Both my parents were fine artists, and I majored in design as well, actually.
That's kind of how it seems as well. I mean, we don't have any more room for paintings and stuff like that on the walls. It's full.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I get it.
So now we have to use stuff like this as canvases, and
That's
it gives
cool.
you complete freedom because what a thingy is, in its utter essence is, it's a non-production car. It's
so
something
good
that,
looking. It's just imagination, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, Motown and Detroit history with design.
Yes. Well, and you want to talk about Detroit history as well. This car was a 4.5-inch stock car
Whoa.
in the 60s
Okay.
here in Detroit, and I got lucky and found it on eBay. What makes this car incredible is
If you,
it's one of the few scratch built 36 decan cars you will see.
Wow.
But it's almost 200 grams.
Now, ooh, it's got some weight to it.
It's got a lot of
So now
weight.
the hole is, what's up with that?
So my theory on that, why they did it back in the day, is you would stuff from the track would get
so they
sucked
left
up.
the top open and the
so
bottom one
in a lot of cases, yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll show everybody this. I'm hogging your car.
Oh, I'm fine
Look
with
at that.
got a list started already, so
That is neat.
And that's one of the earlier ones I put together. So I mean, there's still some things that I got to really go back and do right.
Oh, sure.
But that car had a '67 Impala body on it, and was
Did it
beat
really?
to death. Oh yeah, I still have the body. That's one thing is if I buy a car that wasn't a Shinoda and I
Yeah.
rebuild it as a Shinoda, I keep all the original parts and I make
Oh, I
sure that you can
gotcha.
turn it back to what it was. That's my entire mentality is I don't want to destroy the history.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, it's just like vintage, you know, full scale racing. cars.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is genuine racing history.
It is. And it's what these guys would do when they weren't racing the real cars.
Well, the thing I like about this, genuinely, from doing it is, first of all, it's real racing, flat out.
Yes.
Like, show them how much tire wears on your Formula One car.
Oh yeah. Well, not just that, but this class, these cars,
Yeah.
there's only one
Look-
part on the track you can
Look at the
pass.
tire wear. That's just like, it's like exhaust stains on a World War II fighter plane. I mean, these things are being raced hardcore.
Oh,
you
yeah.
were really fast. You were beating me by my fast lap, your fast lap. You were still getting me by 0.3 of a second.
I had
everywhere.
4 of the fast laps today.
Yeah,
so.
you beat 3 to 4 tenths of a second.
But then again, I do this more often.
That's
so,
true. Yeah. But anyway, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
this is hardcore racing. It's really cool. But from like history and design and Detroit, first of all, these Shinoda bodies are beautiful.
Oh, completely.
They're exciting. And then anybody who builds them gets to put their love and art into it.
Yes. Well, and they all had names back in the day. I mean, you look at this car, and the name's Belch Fire, and the other one that I
Belt
missed out on
Fire
buying.
4, yeah?
Yeah, because all the kids' cars were named Belch Fire.
They were?
Yes. Yes. I wish I'd bought the other matching car with it.
Wow, all right. Belch Fire. The little Formula car. I think it's so rad. It's so cool.
You know, and it's not just that, but it's history that you can occasionally find. The original Shinodas are so hard to find.
And the thing that's neat about this is, I mean, look, these are gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're not you know, even if in the summer you're doing something, or whatever, if you're doing something else, these are so beautiful to look at.
Yeah. You can display them. That's
Look
what
at
they
this.
are.
I mean, this is Detroit history. This is racing history, you guys. This is design history. This is an original car. And this is something that, if you just put your mind to it, this is very affordable hobby.
It is. Now, I mean, there are extreme ends to where.
Oh, well, sure.
You know,
But like, for instance, today, so this what is a box stock JK chassis?
you
like
can
this
buy
cost?
that car out of the box for like $80 and go race.
Are they that much money?
So what's the painted bodies and everything, but it
Okay, but if you
Yeah.
just get a chassis, no body.
it's less. I
Is that like
think
40 or 50 bucks?
$50 maybe, but
Something like that, 50 bucks ready to go. And then a body, you can buy bodies for what, $5 to $10 unpainted?
yes, and paint it yourself.
Paint it yourself, yeah. And then mount it up. I mean, that's cool.
But
And
even then, even at $80, when I started out as a 12-year-old kid, I think $50 was the price, $60 was the price of the car.
Sure.
And they were nowhere near as fast as they are now because
Oh,
modern
no.
technology has come so far.
it sure has. They've gotten smaller to make the same kind
They
of.
have. Well, you see the professional wing cars now, and they've gone back to being a sidewinder
Right.
because the motors are so small.
Okay.
It's unbelievable, and you see those cars now, and they're running the record now is 1.2 something.
On a Blue King Special?
Yes, on a Blue
See, that's
King.
madness, because our cars are pretty quick, and your fast lap was like 4.4 seconds.
Right.
And I was like, hauling the mail trying to do 4.8.
Yeah, and really, my main thing is I run a class called Retro Can-Am every week,
It's
in
good.
Retro F1.
Yeah.
And those cars, there's...
It ran long.
Well, this is an example of your average Retro F1.
That looks like a McLaren Mark 8F or something.
It is a TI-22.
Oh,
There
okay.
are other bodies, but the TI-22 has become the preferred body
What's your
because of the
chassis look
side
like
arms.
in this one?
This is a scratch-built aluminum, brass and wire chassis.
Okay.
And
Got some articulation there. Yeah, that's neat.
this car, that weighs in at around 120 grams. It's really a hill climb car versus
I
a
see.
king track car. Well, that's another thing about that class.
It's like Antiques Roadshow. I break his stuff.
Hey, sometimes when the cars land on the floor, they end up going faster.
Sometimes?
Oh, very rarely, but it does happen.
Really? That's
I've
funny.
seen it happen, yes. But, cars like this, and the guy who built it, Rick Davis, is just an awesome guy. Awesome builder. An amazing racer. He was actually around back in the day and raced ancillary. I mean,
Oh, wow.
from what he had told me, his first experience of racing, just practicing at track, he was like, who's this guy with this weird-looking car next to his stuff? And he finds out later, oh, yeah, that's Larry Shinoda. So you've got the guy that designed the C2 Corvette that was responsible for the C3 as well. He was responsible for the Z28 package. He then went over to the Boss 302 package. The Cougar Eliminator was also his involvement.
Right.
I mean, there's so many cars that he was either involved in or did.
The thing that's so insanely cool to me about racing slot cars and now vintage slot cars and being here in the Detroit area, and are you heading up the Shinoda reunion race?
I started the Shinoda reunion. It was my senior year of college.
Oh wow!
And I
How
found
big
that
is
car.
it? How big is this race in scope? What's the deal? All these entries and stuff.
We had in total about 70 cars that were
That's-
Shinoda body.
That's serious.
Racing wise, we'll get about 8 to 15 period correct cars that are running.
Right.
Now, people will bring multiple cars, so there's really more than that, but it's what you choose at
How
the end.
far do people travel to come to this?
St. Louis so far is the farthest in person
Okay.
we've had to travel. Farthest car, because we do a thing called a proxy race, which is you send your car from wherever you are, and someone here races it for
So
you.
somebody could literally build a car in Australia and send it.
That has happened. We had a
Really?
guy last year from Australia that sent 2 cars. We've had cars come from...
You had like 7 countries last year. sent
We
cars
did,
in.
yeah,
Wow.
oh, absolutely.
7 different countries.
Seriously.
It was
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, we've had cars from
That's so awesome.
We've had cars from England show up. We've had cars from over Europe show up. We've had a lot of that, and that's a really cool aspect to it.
The thing that's so insanely cool about this is this is like a special niche opportunity. If you love automotive history, I mean, Shinoda prototype cars, concept cars,
Yeah.
right? And you love racing, you can build one of those cars and come do that just like back then. I mean,
Yes.
it's fun.
Well, on top of that, and you probably know this, Larry had involvement with the Chaparral cars.
Did he?
Yes, he
What was
did.
his involvement? I don't remember that.
He was friends with Jim Hall apparently because,
Well, they all are doing
They
backdoor
were.
GM stuff.
well, what we found out a couple years ago, and I've only seen one of them. There's a guy, Brad Bloom, who's got a bunch of original
You know the
Shinoda stuff.
GS2 prototype car? They look like the Chaparral 2A.
Yes.
You know where it's sitting rotting that nobody knows? Midland, Texas, in a shed.
I'm not even shocked. There's so many cars sitting around there. Like, the rumor I've heard is that there's a
Since they were
GT40
out of
sitting in
Texas,
Detroit.
makes sense
Yeah,
they'd be
it's just
doing
sitting in
that.
his old garage.
But Brad shows up at the first reunion. This is in 2016.
Yes?
He's got a Chaparral body with Larry's business card taped in the inside of it. It's
No
the only one
way.
we know of, yes.
That is
But
cool.
Larry at some point did design a Chaparral, at least one. So, but it kind of makes sense now if you think
Maybe it
about
was the 2A or the
Well, you
GS2.
think, well, this was an enclosed car. You start thinking about it.
Maybe it was
and
the 2D.
It could be. But you think about it and you start looking at the styling of the Chaparrals and the styling of the Shinodas. I mean, well, we can do it side by
Oh,
side
for
right
sure,
now,
for
you know?
sure. Let's see, do I have a Chaparral
Well,
stuff?
here's a prime example. These are both from the time period.
Yeah, this is a
and-
Chaparral 2D,
Yes.
painted silver instead of white.
Yes.
And you can see very shark-like. I mean, Shinoda was doing a lot of things of
Yes.
very shark, very fish-like.
Well, he was the master
was his
of shark
nationality?
races. Asian American. Fun fact about Larry, he was actually in an...
Were they
one-
Japanese originally? Or where was he
That
from?
I'm not 100% sure on, but
Because-
he was actually in one of the Japanese American... I think you're right. He was in one of the Japanese American camps during World War II.
Well, the Japanese, you can see the ocean and
Yeah.
fish a lot in their art and culture.
Yes.
So maybe that was a thing. I don't know.
Well, also that's the time of Bill Mitchell, and you think about all the characters.
Right.
But you look at these two cars together, one identifying factor of Larry is the crease lines. He was so... Like, if you look at the C2...
Like the C8, they're doing that now
yes,
on the hood.
it's in tribute. But if you look at the C2, the crease line that starts at the hood, runs into the
Here,
roof
hold that
and
up there.
fades.
Show your crease lines up there. Okay, so you see that there. Now, okay, so you see the kind of fishy, sharky look of the Chaparral 2D. Now, mind you, this isn't exactly perfect for the Chaparral 2D, but it's close.
Yes.
And you can see that same kind of shark fish stuff going on here. So cool.
And so, all of that was going on at the same time. You think about the Chaparrals, I mean, obvious Chevy involvement.
Right.
And it makes sense because Larry was a racer through and through. I mean, the guy ran go-karts as well.
Yeah.
And there's stories I've heard about him just borrowing twin-motor go-karts, like he'd show up at the track one day, and people were like, "Oh, here's Larry."
That's so
and
cool.
they're like, "Here, we got this race cart. You want to go and make some laps in it?" And, I mean, he was a good driver all around.
That's
and that's
so
how
cool.
it was back in the day with designers is, it wasn't just, I'm going to design
No,
a
they
car.
did everything. They weren't just geeks in a studio all day. They were driving, they were wrenching, they were racing slot cars. There was a whole deal.
And there's still a number of us that are. I mean, there's a bunch of guys I graduated with that, like some of my buddies, they just did a...
And you're a designer, you do design?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the guys I graduated with, they just did a 3,000-mile trip in a 29... Wait, I'm probably going to get it wrong. I think it's 29 Model A.
Yes.
They built themselves. They had 200 miles on the car, and then they went on the 3,000-mile trip.
That's so
with
cool.
other hot rods, and they didn't have a roof on it. They camped every night, didn't have a roof. And so there's still that essence there with designers today because it's what we do. I mean,
well, and this is
cars are a passion.
I swear, like a slot car track like this is the best place to be a designer.
It
And if
is.
you get into it, you can make your own blocks and vacuum form your own
Yes.
bodies and stuff. That's not that
completely.
hard. So let's tell you what. Let's kind of finish this video up for because I'm gonna do a series. I'm gonna do some videos. I'm gonna build my own cars for this race. I'm gonna come back and practice with you. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna have a big reunion race. Hope you guys will come out and hang out, maybe get involved. So this chassis I already had was my Ferrari P4, and this is something that would be legal as a chassis for the Unlimited class.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so explain to them what Unlimited class means for the Shinoda race.
Unlimited is essentially, we want to see how fast we can make a Shinoda run in today's world.
But
today's
within
technology.
certain rules.
Yes, so what we do is there's Retro Can-Am and Retro F1.
Yes.
It's a brass and wire class which has a spec sealed motor. There's some choices you have in the motor, but
Correct.
they also have spec gearings.
Like this one here, the Speed
Yes,
FX guy.
that's a 4002 FK.
Okay. The motor there.
Which you would have an 8 and 28 gearing in the back.
Ooh, I don't know what I got.
You have older stuff on there, so it'll be close. But rules have changed over
The
time.
29 tooth in the back.
Okay, so within reason.
Okay.
But we do that to keep it so that it's all about chassis tuning and body tuning and all at the same time.
Right.
So Unlimited, what we do, and I don't have my rear wheels on this. This is
So effectively, you take the chassis from your Can-Am class.
Yes.
And then put on whatever Shinoda body you want.
Yes. So this is a prime example. This is on the simple end. This car here, yes. And I don't have the motor.
This
in
is
it
painted
right
a little
now.
more 70s though, right?
That was kind of my intention with it.
That's cool. I dig it. It looks good.
But this thing, I have to put the motor back in, a few other things.
Yes.
That right there is basically, if you have a Retro Can-Am car, you just have to swap bodies on it.
Right, so I
Because
could
you're
literally
controlling rules.
just do one of these up and put on my chassis.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
So this is gonna be my Unlimited
Yes.
Shinoda car for the race coming up.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
We also, in Unlimited, allow angle winder cars within reason.
Okay.
So like this right here, and it's got some...
Now, in the circumstance for Unlimited, is there much advantage one way or the other to angle wider versus inline?
It's more so, I just want to challenge people creativity-wise.
I love that.
You know,
It's awesome.
I think it's one of those things, if you want to go above and beyond, I'm going to let you do that. But at the same time, if you just want to, take your every week series car and swap bodies on it, and the thing is, my car's not the fastest. We actually qualify on the King track for Unlimited. So what we do is you have a minute, we pick a color, and you have to run the fastest lap you can.
Okay.
And then that decides where you end up if you're in the A main or if you're in the B main. And
So it's so big. There's like a race for the slower cars and then a race for the faster guys?
Exactly.
Oh,
It's
that's
separated.
cool. Okay.
Because when you have that many cars, we're not just going to round robin it.
Right.
But now they're different.
It helps with marshalling. It helps because
Right.
you put cars that are the same speed together because it's so much more fun when you got someone that's within a tenth of your car.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
you're just-
today when we were racing with different guys and being in different lanes and such.
Yeah.
But if you get to where you're getting real close and you don't want to wreck, maybe one guy will just check up slightly to do that, or then you got to decide I'm on the outside. Can I sink and stick? And
if you come here on a Wednesday night, you'll see it's a lot different at that point because my buddy Rob, he and I, we typically have similar speed stuff, and there have been some races where we'll be 25, 30 laps within a car length of each other.
You're kidding me.
I'm dead serious.
We're talking hundreds of a second, thousands of a second. Okay, so let's finish this up. So show us, like, you're going to have to show me how to build a vintage car, like a proper one. What's that all about? It uses the old school motors?
Yeah, what we do is a vintage car. Going back in history, we actually get even more GM history. So this right here is a Dyna Rewind. What Dyna Rewind was is you had Ted Leck. I wish I could remember the name of the other guy.
Hold that.
Yeah.
Keep going.
But it was 2 GM engineers that worked with Larry. So we're talking top tier. And in their evenings in Ted's basement, they would build motors.
So this guy is like a 60s motor. Okay, right there. And this is like a pretty modern one, much smaller, right? So this gives you guys an example of different, and there's a lot of different technology going on. This is obviously a lot heavier.
And the intentions, well, this motor is meant for torque, that motor is meant for horsepower.
Oh, this will make some torque, that's for sure.
Yes. So the older motors are torque-based, which makes them a whole different driving experience than the new motors.
Yeah.
So what we do, period correct, is we want to get to as close as we can to being back in 1968 at the most, because...
What's the connection to General Motors on this?
Ted Leck was one of the head engineers that worked with Larry at the time.
Okay.
And so he made these motors with one of the other engineers. I want to say it was Jerry
he
Murphy.
designed them?
Yeah. Well, what they did is they took production cans and they would put different magnets in it. Basically, it's a blueprint motor. So it's like if you took your LS out and you sent it to Texas Speed.
Okay, yeah.
It's like that, only back then they were taking the motors completely apart.
That's so cool.
And this one I'm going to be rebuilding in the next few weeks. And but the big deal, and you can put the camera.
Yeah, look at the armature here.
Dyna Rewinds,
so little armature, you guys. Okay.
Are very unique because of how the armatures are balanced.
Yeah, they do a little grind instead of a drill, right?
Yes.
That you see those little cuts kind of there. That's how they balance it. So this side was heavier.
Yes.
So they zing off some material.
So on top of that, you got different magnets they put in there. They do.
Were they doing that thinking it would be better for the aerodynamic aspect of it? You think, or they just did it differently?
I don't know his thought process on it, but I can ask around. There might still be someone that knows. I just think it looks cool. I mean, regardless, any balanced arm back in the day is going to look cool.
Yeah. So now so for the old stuff, then it requires kind of a hunt. You got to get people that are talented. So you've got a guy that's going to rewind some of these armatures.
The armatures actually don't need to be restored.
Oh.
We just need to go through the motors, and he actually worked at Dyna Rewind back in the day.
Okay.
So we just want to go through the motors and make sure that everything is right, make sure all the tolerances are correct.
Oh, okay.
And put the motors back to how they were brand new.
Kind of like blueprinting them.
Yes.
Like a rebuild and a blueprint.
Yes. So we're taking, it's like on any race car that you've ever restored, when you take the motor out and you put it back to how it was.
So now the historic ones, you can run anybody you want, whether it's like an open wheel formula car or one of these other ones. Is that right?
As long as it's a Shinoda body, you can use that body in either class.
And can you do Sidewinder or inline motor in either one?
For period correct, it can only be inline or Sidewind. We don't allow angle winders. Yes, they were coming in at that time period, but it wasn't a representation of what you would see in
You can do Sidewinders, so perfectly lateral or perfectly like 90 degrees.
Yes,
none of the funky.
Right.
Okay.
Nothing angled, because you'll see people that come in with early stuff, and they've got an older chassis that was an over-the-counter chassis, and it was a Sidewinder, and they have a beautiful body on it. That's completely fine. It's period correct.
Cool.
So you've got that, and then Unlimited it's basically, that's period correct. It's like, think about it as like the Goodwood Revival, where you're bringing these beautiful original cars.
Yeah.
And you're
Are we going to dress
hard.
in period? Like it's 1967?
We could.
What would I wear if it's 1967? I never thought of that.
I mean, honestly.
We have to do that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can find period correct shirts and whatnot.
You guys want to help find me stuff to wear like it's the late 60s in Detroit? I'll do it.
Well, on top of that, what we've figured out is we're going to even run the original controllers back.
Should I show up in a suit and tie like Russ Kit?
We
like a GM exec or something?
Oh, you had to find a Bill Mitchell suit. Oh, if you found like the red suit he had back in the day.
Oh, you had a red suit?
Yes, you've never seen the photos of that? Oh, it's awesome.
I can do this.
He had like a bright red suit. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But
all right, show him this controller.
Yes, this is actually your professional controller back in the day.
Old school. This is like a piece of aluminum tubing squished, riveted with some solid rivets from an aircraft. And then, of course, you got your resistor up here. And look at that. They just make a pivot point. Got your wires in there. And you got these 2 points here. So that's full throttle. That's direct power. Or right here, that's your braking spot, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. Look at this, none of that oh shit garbage. This is for kids that knew how to build something. They'd burn themselves and get over it.
That's pretty much how it was.
Yeah.
When you look at it nowadays, and we control throttle, brake, I've heard of people having traction control even.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a fancy controller with all that stuff, right?
Mine's actually dated. My controller that I was running today, I have used pretty much in every race since I was a 12-year-old kid.
Really?
Yes.
Mine's just mine's newer than mine's a Professor motor. It's like electronic, but it's I can't adjust anything.
Actually, my first controller was a Professor motor controller.
This isn't too bad. This is okay.
Well, what we found is when we started going to hotter motors, the Professor motor
they can't
controller would just freak out. Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that'll work for what I'm gonna do?
On limited, you might have a few issues. In which case, I've got a backup controller.
My unlimited one, you think I might get freaked out?
We can try. We can test it.
That's
but
cool.
I've got spare controllers to help you out with that.
So what's up with this one?
This is actually
Whoa,
dated
dude.
by now, but
you got all kinds of stuff going on here.
But this has adjustable throttle, adjustable brake. So we actually adjust how much throttle and brake we have in the controller.
Look at this thing.
And
So this is a Parma body
casing,
right?
And then it's a DeFalco.
DeFalco, yeah.
Controller.
And so one of them adjusts the amount of braking it'll do,
Yep.
and one adjusts the nature of how quickly the throttle comes in, like your
Yes.
ohms. Okay.
And I was actually
Look at that.
adjusting that during the race. Actually, when I came off my last lane,
Yeah.
we had 1 second left, and I was thinking I might be able to get half a lap in. So when I got straightaway, I turned the brakes all the way off, trying to coast.
This is why he was beating me by 0.3 of a second every lap. that and a lot of experience and talent.
A lot of learning how to mess up. Because I've broken a lot of stuff with these. I mean, I've broken everything from axles to I've bent tires.
That's awesome.
That's not part
No,
of
I
what
get
we're
it.
talking about.
I'm there. We got through decently unscathed. You had an issue though, didn't you?
I did. Well, I was winning. I was winning the race, and on my guide flag,
Yeah.
right here, these were I hit a
Oh,
car.
they started connecting.
And they connected.
They were
and-
shorting.
Yeah.
Did that jack up your controller at all?
No.
Okay, good.
I got lucky.
Okay, cool. Well, I tell you what, man, we should probably end this one for today and get me figuring out and hooked up with some stuff.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Join, like, and subscribe, of course, because we're coming back. I'm going to build stuff up on a jig, get ready for that, come back and practice, and we're going to dress like it's the late 60s apparently now, and race. That's the end of November, right?
November 30th.
November 30th, Saturday. That's the Ohio State Michigan football game, man.
We have to bring a TV in here.
Okay, we're gonna have to bring a TV. Okay, but it'll be cool. It's gonna be epic, and thank you.
You know, it's always a good time, and what's cool as well is we really do it up. So besides that, is that on this side of my box? I mean, I carry a lot of vintage stickers in general because that's part of the fun as well as showing your style. But wait, it's on the lower box. Well, it's on the top of this box.
That's all right. Don't lose your stuff trying to. What is it?
It's clipped. But every year is one of the things I do, and this might show up.
I'll take a picture.
We do reunion participants.
Stickers.
Yeah, because part of what makes slot racing so cool as well is you want to show where you've been.
Right. Now, you got a couple other things going on. So for the vintage race, you have a bit of a point system. So people that are doing really good period correct presentations, that's worth a little extra points.
It is.
Right?
So what we decided is it's going to be 100 point scoring total.
Okay.
You'll have a maximum of 50 points in terms of period correctness.
Okay.
So things like, we allow people to use newer rear tires because some of the stuff's too hard to find realistically.
That's true. Yeah.
There are certain things that we have hard points that you absolutely have to have period correct. But things like that will lose you points.
Okay.
Then we have car show judging. So we always have a concourse judging because we have cars that get signed just for display use.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we say, okay, this year, maximum of 30 points. All the cars racing in period correct will be judged as their own class.
Okay.
They can still win overall in judging.
I see. Okay.
But they're their own separate class as well. And that's, so basically you're being judged against your peers.
Neat.
And so that'll be a possible 30 points maximum.
Okay.
And then racing is 20 points. And that's
Okay.
where you finish out of everyone. This way, it gives a chance for someone that
Wait,
might
that's
have
50 points. I thought you said 100 points.
Well, it's 50 points for period correct, 30 points for the car show, and then 20 points for racing. So,
Oh, well, okay, that's
yeah.
cool. So it's all around cool.
Yes. And what we've also decided on is if you bring a period correct controller and you race it, it's going to be worth like 5 bonus points.
Oh, man, I got to make that now, too.
Well, just because.
Whoa,
it's
what
so
about
cool.
a tire? This is like Goodwood, right?
I mean.
It's cool. That's cool.
Well, at that point, I guess we'll need a commentator booth for.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Anything else you want to say to these guys to look up? We're at Downriver Speedway and Hobby Shop here in Lincoln Park, Michigan.
Yes.
And the race is November 30th, Saturday. I don't know. Anything else?
Additional information is on the Shinoda Reunion Facebook page.
Okay.
So I do have a page out there where you can see photos from last year's reunion, prior year's reunion, cars that are showing up.
Yeah, they're really cool. And the Unlimited class is going to race on the 155 foot a lap Blue King Special.
Yes.
And then the vintage one's going to be on this Ogilvy Hill Climb?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So a wide variety.
I think that's it, man. They also have a tri-oval in here.
Yes.
But
doors will open at 11. Racing will begin at 3. We will do judging before that.
Okay.
So we're going to have a good time. For car show judging,
Gonna have a good time.
Oh yeah, it's always a good time when you're at the track.
Right on. All I gotta say is thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Next video coming up, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Thanks for reaching out.
Well, you know, you're doing a lot for the slot car community by exposing it to other people, and that's what we need because...
Well, it's freaking epic.
It is. It is. There's so many amazing battles that have happened, and... I mean, on a normal Wednesday night, you come out
real racing. You get to build real race cars.
It's unbelievable, some of the races we've had here, and it really does help out because when I'm out racing full-size stuff, this keeps me, in practice over the winter because in Michigan we have 5 months off of racing.
That's true. That's true.
So unless you're going out of state or whatever, you're not racing. You're working on your car, but you can't hear.
Definitely. All right, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.